Let's just discuss this breaking news story then. And we're joined via Zoom by Hilton Trollip, who's an independent consultant in energy research. Hilton, good afternoon to you. Thank you so very much for joining us, sir.
Good afternoon, Flo. It's a pleasure.
Well, of course, we're hearing changes to the Eskom Board coming, and they will be announced soon. What are your thoughts on this? And is this move by Minister Gordhan likely then to turn things around at Eskom? Of course, many of us as South Africans are wondering if, things will go back to normal when it comes to lights.
Well, firstly, the Eskom Board, which was appointed in 2018, can have up to 13 members, I think. And there was a fairly full board in 2018, but I think about half the board have resigned over the years, and they simply weren't replaced. And those people that were replaced, I'm not going to get into individuals, but they have financial skills and they have science skills, but there's no engineering industry skills. One of the members has some engineering industry skills, but he's not an engineer. And Eskom is primarily, although it has to have a good finances, etc., it's primarily an engineering company. And the problems at Eskom at the moment are primarily around engineering performance, the performance of Eskom's big machines. So I think what the Public Enterprises Minister could have done is kept some continuity in the board, and I hope he does. He said he's reconstituting it. For that, I read that the board members' tenures haven't been renewed after the review. So I hope he keeps some continuity. And then secondly, I hope that he gets some people who know the electricity industry from a engineering and technical perspective onto the board. He must keep the finance people and legal and commercial people too. And then most importantly, I think that the process of appointing board members in SOEs in general in South Africa, and I've been a board member on a number of SOE boards. The process leaves a lot to be desired. We don't know how these people end up on the boards. And yes, I was on a board once and I know how I ended up there. It was purely the discretion of the minister. But then secondly, there needs to be clear performance contracts for the board and clear and non-interference. They need to be left to get on with their job, as does the executive management team. And they don't need day-to-day interference. They don't need ministers from other portfolios commenting on technical issues, et cetera, et cetera. So governance needs cleaning up in general, and it should start with the board, and it should start with clear processes where it is explained to the South African public how the board members get chosen and what's expected from them. And then this needs to be monitored.
Yeah, and Hilton, on that note then, what are and you think you've touched on it briefly, I'm glad you spoke about the issue of the fact that, many don't even have that engineering background that you speak of, but as they come in, as those new board members do come in, what are some of the key issues that at the onset they should be focusing on?
Well, the first thing is the maintenance program of this really old this fleet of really old machines or broken machines, which is why we are having load shedding. But they need to be, that must be their primary focus. But they also, Eskom hasn't built any new power stations apart from a few exceptions, and Medupi and Kusile over the past years. And we have this situation where the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy decides who's going to build power stations, but then we have the problem where the Department of Public Enterprises appoints the board. And I think this also needs looking into. I'm not saying that the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy should take over the Eskom board, but there's some gaps between these government departments, and they're not cooperating and they're not working together, which also makes the board members' jobs really difficult, because in many cases they don't have the power over the things, the authority over the things that they need to fix.
Yeah, and just on that, it seems as though the same excuses have been brought forward to the public in terms of the fact that Eskom has to fix problems of the past, maintenance issues, etc. Surely, you can't rely on those excuses forever. And if you're going to continue using those excuses, surely then you're not the right person for the job.
So Flo, in my opinion, I've been watching this for 30 years. You can only, Eskom's coal fleet of power stations, there's only so much you can do with them, with the organization that you have at Eskom. And not only the board level, Eskom has had 9 CEOs since 2014. 9. So every 6 months sometimes they change the CEO.
Yeah.
And the CEO has to build the trust of the executive team. And there's layers and layers and layers of management and skills under that. And because of cadre deployment and the appointment of people in positions that they're not competent to do, and then even worse, state capture and corruption, Eskom itself has been damaged. And the board can't magically wave a wand and undo 10 years worth of damage. So you can replace the board as much as you like. You can replace the CEO as much as you like, but you're left with the same organization. And it takes a period of time to rebuild Eskom skills. And also there's a limit of skills in the country. And there's also a problem that the top people also like good working conditions where they can do their job and they're given something that's possible to do. And it's becoming increasingly difficult at Eskom to attract people. The people that are there out of patriotism or corruption. I mean, the ones that haven't got kicked out yet after Zondo and the Eskom inquiry. And so replacing the board won't just suddenly magically bring a whole lot of organizational capacity that's been damaged and a whole lot of skills into Eskom. This takes time. And in my view, the current executive team, this is what they've been saying they're doing. They're rebuilding capacity, trying to get skills in there, but they've told us quite clearly, we need new generation capacity desperately, and they have no authority to authorize the building of new power stations. That sits firmly with the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. And until we really start building the cheapest and fastest things to build, which is wind and PV, until we start doing it fast, and this is not just me, this is just about every independent consultant or analyst that you'll find that has published stuff and that has published reports where you can see this. We need to start building new generation. What this board can do is try and keep Eskom together, try and keep those machines running to minimize load shedding. But load shedding is only going to be over once we start building. And also, once we start building, there's still a delay of about 18 months to 2 years before the fastest stuff, which is wind and PV, starts getting onto the system. So in any case, it's going to take 18 months to 2 years. But if we start now, then in 18 months to 2 years, we'll start fixing things. But if we continue delaying, which we are, then it's just going to get worse and worse.
All right.
No board can fix that.
All right. Hilton Trollip, thanks very, very much to you. Hilton Trollip is an independent consultant in energy research. Many thanks to you.